Welcome to CRE Power Hour, everyone. My name is Lisa Marie Wand, and my co-host, Stephanie Gilson. She's not here today, but we'll see her in a couple of weeks. And Stephanie and I have spent the last 20 years growing and scaling our commercial real estate businesses. And together, we're bringing you a new space for you to learn alongside the best in the industry, in the commercial real estate industry at CRE Power Hour. And today our guest is, drum roll please, Bernadette Hurley. And we're so excited to have her on the show. So let's get right to it. Hi, Bernadette. Welcome. And thanks so much for being on the show.
Hi, Lisa Marie. I'm sad that I'm not getting a chance to say hi to Stephanie again.
I know.
You have to pass my sentiments to her.
I get you all to myself today. So I was looking this morning. So we have been recording this live commercial real estate podcast for about 19 months now. And Bernadette was on our show in the very beginning. We interviewed her because she's a badass commercial real estate coach, and she's involved in some new and created some new adventures. So Bernadette, why don't you tell our live audience and those watching the recording, tell us your story and how you've evolved through real estate and commercial real estate and what you have going on now.
Awesome. Thanks. Well, I'm Bernadette Hurley. I am based out of Texas, and I've been in real estate for 26 years. I started on the residential space, and then after about 18 years, I moved over to the leadership side of brokerage services. And it wasn't until then did I start to really become aware of the commercial real estate space and the differences between the two. And so running the leadership side, I needed to be supportive of all agents, whether they were commercial or whether they were residential, and just being able to address problems and situations that prevent them from scaling, from growth. And so that's the experience I have. I had the luxury and the pleasure of growing the brokerage that I served to be the largest commercial brokerage in our organization that year that I focused on it. So I know that there's a lot of things that you guys juggle as commercial agents. And as I started to coach on the commercial side, I learned a lot about some of the unique struggles that you guys deal with on a day-to-day basis. And that brings us to today, the new version of myself on top of juggling coaching. I help realtors and brokers scale on the leverage side. And so I'm really excited. And actually, I was coaching Lisa Marie a few years ago, and she was the first person that I saw on the commercial side that embraced leverage.
Yes. Yeah. And so one of the things that you said that I want to go back to, because you've mentioned it twice, is that when you were in your leadership role and also as a coach, and now with your new venture that we're going to talk about, you said that brokers and agents have a challenge scaling their business. And I will say that is absolutely true. And there's lots of books written and there's lots of models on how to scale. And yet it's something that most agents and brokers struggle with. How do I go from being a solo entrepreneur, individual agent to having my business grow bigger, whatever that looks like for that person? You know, as you know, my visions of what scaling look like have changed many times over the years. And that includes my version of success. So let's talk about the challenges of scaling and some of the solutions for that you've seen work over time and even in today's commercial real estate world.
Love that. So I've had experience onboarding both brand new commercial agents and also experienced agents. And it isn't until a broker takes a step back to say, how do I answer that question of scaling? And how do I step outside of just the transactional chase? Because we're constantly chasing the next transaction. It's indicative of being in a 100% commission role.
Yeah. And we get a little bit, I will tell you, we get a little bit of the junkie, the juice of chasing
Of
that
chasing.
next
There's a thrill
detail.
about it. I wholeheartedly agree. And it isn't until you take a step back that you say, okay, if I don't step back and address the functions and the foundation of how my lead generation strategy is going to work, my operations are going to work, my systems and my models are going to work, we're always going to be chasing the next transaction. And that prevents us from scaling because we're not necessarily focused on the right things. It is
Yes.
right to chase after what's going to feed you. But if we're really going to build a foundation, which is really my hopes for everybody coming into this industry, is to just take a pause and say, what am I building here? And is it sustainable for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? Is it sustainable to a point where I could actually even sell my business? And
which most people don't even think about, right? That are in this business
they
because they're
don't.
kind of caught up in that day to day. It's
They
like when you ever, there was that movie about Don't Look Up, because so many people have their head down, but we really need to look up and take a look at what we're doing and what's urgent and what's important and what's, not urgent, but is important for the long term. And most agents, brokers, even, teams, there's no exit strategy. And then are they focusing? Do you feel like the average broker or agent is focusing on what they should be in the day to day in their business?
Well, if I would say that a business that is positioned to scale, the day to day is important, but those brokers have looked at it from a 10,000 foot view, looking down. And when you look at it from that way, you realize that the day to day, when you're also juggling business, not sales, but business, most people are not focused on that. And I think that that's where the problem lies. Is if we have to make some decisions on the broker side. Are we trying to make a career? Or are we trying to build a business? They're both different answers, and they both have different journeys. If you're trying to make a career, and that's pretty much everyone at the beginning, we're just trying to find, where am I going to get my next transaction? Who do I know that can help me? And it isn't until you start doing the business side. Like, I've had the pleasure of helping a commercial broker who's been in business for probably 25 years, and she inherited that from her father, who was in commercial business for 25 years also. And to be able to navigate that sale with another person coming in to buy their business, that was interesting, because we had to do a lot of backpedaling for a year to just get it straight, just get the business to a point where we can just pass it on to the next person. And so that part of real estate, I love. I'm exactly where I need to be.
You are so, well, first of all, you're so on fire about building, scaling, helping people, supporting people to live their dream, because you were my coach for years, and you know that I have very specific dreams and goals, and you would help me, and remind me to ask myself, is what I'm doing right now and today or for the next 6 months, is it moving me closer to my dream or farther away from my dream? And when you're caught up in the day to day, it's very difficult it can be challenging for most people to embrace that idea of, I'm building a future, I'm building a legacy. And so what I know about you, Bernadette Hurley, is that that's your passion, that's what you're great at. And one of the things that you mentioned that I've used in my business for many years is leverage. And this is a really important piece. We don't talk about it a lot. And so let's unpack what leverage means and how brokers and agents can use that in their commercial real estate business.
Awesome. So it's, in my opinion, just having coached commercial agents from different brokerages,
Mm-hmm.
leverage can mean something different based on the brokerage that you partnered with,
Sure.
because many brokers offer leverage to some degree. And if we embrace what our brokerage gives us, it will take us so far. But when you want to make a difference and be different and take your business even further than those tools, then what does leverage mean? Well, first, I would say we need to identify what your goals are. You
Mm-hmm.
know, what are your goals? You, Lisa Marie, have some really big goals. You're
Yes.
always racing big, and that's
Yes.
what I love. And when we come into a box where our broker says, "Here's the box. Let's play in the box, and here's all the leverage pieces I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you marketing. I'm going to give you maybe some transaction help, some transactions assistance." So we live in
CRM, maybe.
CRM, right? But you still have to utilize the CRM.
Yeah.
Not all of us are techies, but we need to be. We need to be able to leverage the CRM as really the big driver in our business. That's the first leverage. In the absence of you being able to do it yourself, whether it's time or whether it's just something you don't want to learn, then there's another leverage piece, which is the leverage through people. And that's the solution that I solved with the new version of myself, which is bringing um, assistance to people who need the leverage through people to get to the next level. And that could look like, um, everybody has leads that they have to call. My question is how many of you consistently call your leads?
Mm-hmm.
Consistently being the key word. And how many of you call all of your leads? Some of you might only call your favorites, and some of you might leave a whole bunch that are still left to be called or to be connected to.
Yeah.
So if that sounds like you, your next leverage piece needs to be perhaps an ISA, a
Mm-hmm.
salesperson, to call all of those leads. If you are not taking advantage of your CRM, and CRM, if in case you didn't know what it means, it stands for Client Relationship Manager. It allows automation for all of the people that you want to stay connected with through email, text, mailers, phone, and to just get you on a scheduled plan. If working the CRM to the highest level is not something that sounds super fun to you or even worth your time, then you would leverage through people to identify who is your who is going to do that for you,
Yeah.
because regardless, it needs to be done.
Yes.
It needs to be done. And when you look at business, when you look at commercial as a business, like I'm running a commercial business, then we always need to be cycling through lead generation and lead conversion. We always need to be identifying, who do I need to know that needs commercial space? Who do you know that I need to know? Who can you
Yes.
introduce me to?
Yes.
Right.
And I know one of the questions um, um, that you asked me as my coach, and I've asked to agents that I coach and mentor, is what do you love doing and what do you not love doing? And so we can make like a T-bar and say, here's the things I really love and that I'm good, because usually we love stuff we're good at, right?
Yeah.
And so I say, focus on the things that you're good at and get even better. And then those things that maybe you're not so good at, the learning curve is so much bigger. Those are the things that you can look at leveraging. And I know I'll use myself as an example. I'm not a paper pusher person. Now, I love writing contracts and LOIs and reviewing changes and things like that. But when it comes to organizing paperwork to get it uploaded to get paid, or hey, we need this addendum, or we need, like just all of the logistics and due diligence of paperwork, I don't like it. And so I've had a transaction coordinator or a transaction manager since I came into the real estate business 18 years ago, because I knew immediately
That
I
wasn't
may be good at paperwork. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
You know, if I had a stack of paper that needed to be filed, it'd probably have dust on it if it was left for me to do.
So was that your first hire? Your first hire was a transaction coordinator?
Yeah. So I started out in real estate, owning my own real estate brokerage. So my very first hire, well, there was two, but I hired my administrative person, which, as you know, can be one of the most challenging hires, but is absolutely the most important. The voice, the face of your business, that administrative person. And then the second person I hired was an office manager, and the third person I hired was my bookkeeper. So I didn't want to do any of those things. I was happy to oversee them and help those people. But yes, an administrative person was my first hire. And then that person handled transaction coordination. So,
well, let me ask you this. What did you learn about hiring?
So
your first round.
So I come from an HR background, and
Okay.
I used to be a regional director for a recruiting company. So you'd think that I knew a ton about hiring. And I think I did. However, I fell into that trap like most people do. I would hire people that I like, or people that were like me. And you and I have both been studying the DISC profile, the personality profile system for many years. It's been over 20 years for me, and I'm still learning. So I would hire people that either I needed a warm body because I was desperate, because I was running two companies, a real estate brokerage and another real estate company. So I needed someone to sit in the seat and do the stuff, because I couldn't do it all. Or I was like, oh, this person seems really nice. Their references are good. They have a nice voice. I think I could deal with seeing them every day. And then I would hire them. And you know that's not the best way to do it. It's the way most people do it. And so, yeah. And so now you have a system. And so talk about, that's another way to leverage, is having someone helping you hire and having a system to do that.
Yeah. And that was a really big aha that we uncovered together.
Some of those lessons that you learn, and you learn them so hard, like it hurts hard. And then it's in my system now. I don't make that mistake again.
Yeah. And so just kind of taking a couple of steps back, we talked about just through while we were coaching together, when you knew you needed to make a hire, what we did first, and this is just the leverage through people, what we did first is we identified the key tasks that they were going to be doing. And then we identified the correct behavior profile that would love doing the key tasks. Yes. And then we went through the hiring process of trying to find the right behavioral profile to even begin the interview process.
Yes.
And it's so easy to want to bypass and hire based on gut. And it was a painful drag to just have to slow it down a little bit.
Yes. And, even finding someone that wants to go through your process is another layer of filter of, am I hiring the right person? And even when you hire the right person, you may have those people that are with your organization for a really long time. And then you may have someone who's a good fit, but either the role changes or maybe their priorities change. And so when you hire correctly from the beginning, you can have that open communication with them about what it looks like, because we want our people to live their dreams too, right?
Totally. So when you moved over from your own indie brokerage into a bigger brokerage, what were some of the leverage pieces that you were given?
I was given, in commercial real estate, I was given the ability to use some marketing tools, like create flyers and offering memorandums and research properties. I was given, most commercial brokerages that follow a traditional model have a marketing assistant and a receptionist. So I was given all that, and an office, and, a lot of the tools that I needed operationally, marketing and administrative wise, to run my business, as well as a tool to use for a CRM. What I realized, though, at that time, well, I didn't realize till a little bit later, coming from having my own brokerage, selling that, and then moving into a more traditional company, is I was growing their business, not my business. I was growing their brand, using their tools. But it was pretty cool at the time. And I still, even at that time, I've had an assistant since the day I came into real estate. And sometimes I've had 2 or more assistants. So even there, I hired my own assistant, even though we had, people in the office to help us.
And would you say that having that type of help from the very beginning allowed you to operate your business differently than most people?
Yes. Yes. Well, first of all, I was a woman, a blonde-haired woman coming into a brokerage full of men. And I had an MBA, and I just didn't really fit the model, Bernadette,
Yeah.
and nobody wanted to help me. And you've heard this story over and over. I'm sure you've had the same thing. And so I feel like we're trailblazers, because now 18 years later, there's a lot more women and minorities in commercial real estate. And I applaud that and support it every way I can. But they just sort of didn't know what to do with me and didn't want to help me. I never got a lead in the 5 years I was at that first brokerage. But I was like, darn it, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to learn. And I would go around. This is funny. I would go around to the other brokers and say, do you have any clients you don't want to work with? Do you have any problem children? Do you have any deals that, you don't want to do? You don't want to do? Because I'll do them. And I would stay there and burn the midnight oil. Like last night, I was in my office till 8:45 last night, sitting in this very same spot, because you just do what you got to do sometimes, right?
Right. Totally.
And I'm willing to do that.
Yeah. And I honestly believe that, because I was impressed with you from day one. And I believe that you can get farther in business with help every step of the way.
Yes.
And that's really why I went into the next version of myself, which was leverage through people. So I started Evolve Virtually, and that's evolve-virtually.com. And what we do is we answer the problems of hiring, where we do our hires, and we answer the problems of, and we've found affordable solutions there. We solve the behavioral assessment to just make sure that we go through the strenuous process of meeting multiple times to make sure that they're the right fit. And many times I love the people that I meet, but just can't hire you. I just can't put you in front of somebody who's going to depend on you to do this. And although you're going to be a great companion, I just don't think that you're going to be fit for the job. I do all of that to help ease the struggle of coming in, of who's the who, or how am I going to make this work?
And you're doing something very powerful that a lot of people are not comfortable doing. And that's saying, you're a nice person and you're not the right fit for this position. And you're helping everyone, because you're passing that person up so that they can go forth and find something that's good for them.
Right.
And then you can find the correct person that you need for the position. And here's something I will tell you, and you probably already know this, but some of our live audience or people we have watching our recording may not know. And I'm speaking in really sweeping generalities, but it's been my experience over 18 years. Commercial real estate brokers like to hold things close to the vest. They don't necessarily like to share information about their deals or their clients, and they want to do everything themselves in order to keep this sort of quiet, under the radar. I'm closing all these deals, but nobody knows. So it can be very challenging for people in this business to say, I need help. Or if I had help and I had the right help, I would have an even more kick-ass business than I do now.
Yeah, totally agreed. And it's unfortunate that that's the culture it is a sales culture, and it really takes intention to say, I don't want to live in that culture. I want to share. Like, you love to share.
I love to
And
share.
you love to share. You love to bring everybody along with you in your journey
Yes.
of success.
Yes.
And I think maybe that just your journey itself made you who you are. You recognize what it's like to not be able to know who to ask.
Yes.
Um,
It gives me the chills even when you said that. Like, you love to share. You know, that's one of my big whys, is to help the people that want to be helped to be successful in this business. The men, the women, minorities, whomever it is. Part of my vision is to help those people come along and have a successful career in this business, if they want the help, though. That's the thing. And because not everybody is built or wired to do the things that you need to do to be successful in this business. And that's why I love the fact that you're the perfect person to start a virtual assistant company, to start Evolve Virtually, because what it's like, to have virtual assistants, to hire them, how they can help people. And I'm super proud of you that you've created this business that's expanding so quickly. And I actually have hired Bernadette's company, to work with my team, and I'm super excited about it. The process has been smooth, and there's a team approach. So you've got a department that does sales. You've got a department that does, ads and marketing and creates your social content, can help you with your CRM, special projects. I mean, it goes on and on. So when I had my onboarding call, I think there was 7 or so on the call, and I was so impressed because I've been using leverage through virtual assistants and other types of leverage for so many years. And people ask me all the time, Lisa Marie, how do you get it all done? Well, we don't get it done ourselves. It really takes a team and takes a village. And so talk a little bit more about, how hiring your company, or, even another organization, how having a virtual assistants and using a professional firm, because I've hired people on my own and I've hired them through an organization, both. And so will you talk about that a little bit, Bernadette?
Yep, sure. And we can easily find virtual assistants on our own. And as long as you go through the proper screening process, I think that that's key, because hiring the wrong person costs money. We
So
don't
much
think it
money.
does, but it costs money because it costs our time's involved. And when you invest your time into the wrong person, and then you have to go find another person that you believe is going to do the job, there's a lot of losses that can be felt there. And so
Absolutely.
the problem is that the reason why I approached it with a departmental approach, just watching the limitations of an assistant. So let's say you hire an assistant, and I've seen this in your organization. I see this in every organization where the assistant has their own limitations. So let's just say you've decided that you want to hit the digital space to go and market and promote some of your new listings, some properties that you are marketing, and you have a target audience for who needs to see that. So we call that geo farming, geo targeted ads, right? So we have a digital department that handles that. Could you imagine hiring the person like your transaction coordinator and saying, listen, I need help. I need to market this, and I need it to go out to CEOs of major
Yes.
corporations so they can see this space. That transaction coordinator, who is also your leveraged assistant, is going to say, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I can take the contract that you've written when you find that buyer, and I can process that, but I can't help you find the buyer. So we bring in our digital team. Now, there are some people who aren't creatives, but maybe your brokerage isn't offering the templates or the marketing assistant, which many brokers do. Then we have a marketing team, and the marketing team can design flyers, we can design newsletters, we can design anything that you want. And so if you put somebody who is a non-creative in that role, then they wouldn't be able to capture what you want and then to deliver really good material for you to use. Now, On the flip side, if you're setting up your CRM, you need the brainiac. You need the person that's not creative. You need the person that doesn't mind sitting in front of the computer all day long, never getting up, never really associating with other people. They're just fine between themselves and the computer. There's tasks like that that we juggle in the real estate space. That is its own behavior profile. So we've isolated different behavior profiles and what they're good at. And so the team approach is you can come in and you can say, these are my problems. I've got 5 problems. I need this. I need that. I need somebody to call all my leads because I haven't spoken to them in 2 years.
It's never too late.
Never too late. And if you're coaching with me, I'm going to make you make those phone calls, and you'll be surprised the number of conversions that can happen with a lead list that goes back 5 years.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
My office, we are phone callers. We pick up the phone.
I know that about you.
If you're in my office, you have so many calls you need to make, so much canvassing you need to do. And when you continue to do it, I mean, it works. It just works when you work it.
Yes.
If you're consistent with it.
And I have to give you kudos too, in case your viewers didn't know that about you, that you are a dialer.
Yes.
Because I have onboarded commercial brokers who are not dialers, and there is a significant difference between the dialers and the non-dialers in GCI.
Yes. And I will tell a secret that I don't tell often, but there was a time in my career, so 18 years, commercial real estate broker. There was a time when I was kind of burnt out in my business, and the last thing I wanted to do was pick up the phone. So the phone would ring and I'd just be like, ugh, I just didn't want to pick up the phone. And I recognized that was happening. And now I will tell you, I love picking up the phone, and I love picking up the phone when someone calls me, and I love picking up the phone to just dial. And I have that blocked out on my schedule, as does everyone on my team. But it was good for me to acknowledge at one point that I went through a period where I was just a little bit burnt out, maybe a little overwhelmed, and I didn't want to pick up the phone. But thankfully, I was able to talk myself through that, and it was short-lived. And now, especially in my new role where I'm not doing as much operations and training and, the day-to-day behind the scenes stuff that makes the commercial real estate engine work, I spend a lot of time on the phone, and I am one happy camper.
I love that. Now, what would you say to somebody who doesn't want to pick up the phone, who has call reluctance? Because you are one of the few that overcame.
Yes. Not
everyone has that blessing.
Yes. So there's 2 things. There's call reluctance. And there's also we can decide we make this story in our mind about who we should call or who would want to talk to us and who wouldn't want to talk to us. So call bias, I would call it call bias.
Yes, that's a good term.
And so we use a system here. We touch everyone. So I have over 8,000 people in my CRM, and that doesn't include other lists of people that we call on, like realtors, because we get a lot of business from residential real estate agents, other brokers, and then there's many different lists. So we use a structured system so that we hit every single person in the database with a phone call 4 times a year. So if you put a system in place and say, this is what I'm going to do today, and you block it out on your calendar. The other thing I'm a big proponent of is practice. Practice in the mirror. Record yourself on video. Do your phone calls in front of other people. In fact, if you're in my office, I may pull you over and say, come on into my office and let's do some role play right now. It'll be like you will have no warning. And if you can do it in front of me, because I'm probably the scariest person to do it in front of because of my experience and because I'm going to give you some, feedback. But that's what it takes. In fact, I heard someone in my office the other day tell another person in my office, make sure you record yourself or watch yourself in the mirror doing your phone calls. And it really helps. And the last thing I will say about that, so we can get back to you and your your wonderful new venture is have the mindset that you're helping people, because so many people think, oh, I'm bothering this person. They don't want to hear from me. And if you think I'm calling to let you know I'm here to help you either now or later, or maybe someone you know that needs some commercial real estate advice, or they're getting ready to open a business, or they're an investor. So think of it as you're coming from a servant heart. That's what I do when I pick up the phone. I'm like, how can I help you? What do you need? What do you need that I can help you with? So that mind adjustment is, as a coach, you're always working on mindset with people, right?
I am.
It's number one.
It is. Mindset's huge.
So
I want to just piggyback on something that you said, which is like reaching out to other agents. That's a leverage piece. That's a leverage marketing piece. Mm-hmm. That's a CRM piece, by the way, in case you guys hadn't put those two together. That if in your CRM you had 1,000 agents that are local to your market, and you tag them agent, you should be automated to where the marketing comes into the CRM and then automatically reaches out to them on a monthly basis to identify who your target person would be. If you have somebody that is in a 1031 exchange and wants to come into the commercial space, let me know. If you need somebody, if any of your clients need help with a new business venture, refer business to me. Like, how do we stay top of mind to the thousands of agents around you to remind them that you need to do business with them? That's part of what we do. That's part of the leverage piece, is we take lead generation strategies that maybe you haven't had time to really just unpack, and we help unpack that for you and with you, and launch something that is going to help you scale that way. Other ways that we could help are in the event you didn't want to make those phone calls. Well, we have a sales department, and our sales department, they have years of experience just cold calling, warm calling, inbound calling, outbound dialing.
Appointment setting.
What's that?
Appointment setting.
Yes, absolutely. Even just confirming your appointments, we can do that. So leverage is something that we don't really think about because we believe we can do it ourselves.
And we don't do it ourselves because that project will be sitting on our desk 6 months from now because, like me, I worked till 9:00 last night. I don't do that all the time anymore. I had things I needed to do. But I have other people that can help me with the projects that might take me a month to get done, and they can get it done in a few hours. And having that trusted partner to hand it off to. And here's the thing, everybody, leverage is not expensive. It is affordable. I can't tell you how affordable it is to have someone help you. And then if you're like, well, I need a few hours with my social media, and then I need some time on my CRM, and then, I've been wanting to create this special. Then Bernadette and her amazing staff, you can, purchase a certain number of hours or a certain package per month and adjust those as you need. So it flows with your business, and it doesn't cost anything near what you think it might. And the difference between hiring an assistant that's in your office and hiring a VA there's a huge difference, right?
There is. I mean, there is an assistant in your office. It's great, but if they're a shared assistant, which many business models are, then you are on their timeline. You're on their timeline. And for a VA, it could be project specific. Like, I'm trying to launch this project. What can you do to help me? How can we let's talk about the flow of the project and what you can take off of my plate, and how often do we need to reconvene? And you're absolutely right. Our plans start and we're bringing this on. This is new, but we're bringing in like small social media plans to be as low as $100. Yep. And we've got plans on average for $300. We have plans up to 2,000. It just depends on whatever you need. I recognize, just coming in from the coaching side, the reason why I built the business model this way to accommodate small fractional hours is because I recognize that we are all in sales. We all function under different economic and budget models, and we all still need help. We
Yes.
all do. And so help shouldn't be just for the people who can consistently pay $1,000 per month. Help can be for somebody who just needs help on a special project but can't do it on their own. So I've taken all the problems that we have and all the reasons why people wouldn't partner with help, with leverage, and I've tried to create solutions for that. I'm just all about problem solving.
You haven't tried. You've actually done it. And here's the other thing I want to add, because, I've always, in my 18 years, have had at least one assistant. And that assistant may not be able to do all the different tasks that you need.
Right.
So that team approach that Evolve Virtually uses solves that issue. And here's number two. When you have staff, you have to manage them. So that takes part of your time. And one of the cool things about working with Bernadette's organization is that they have internal supervisors and managers that manage all those people. And then you have your huddle once a week or however often you need it. And it takes this load off your back so you can focus on the high payoff activities that you need to grow your business and whatever that looks like for you. So as we're wrapping up, Bernadette, talk about, what's your call to action for people here, and, what might be standing in their way from reaching out to you and taking advantage of leverage, taking the load off, and moving their business to the next level?
My call to action is, let's meet, let's talk, and let's problem solve what your business needs. I offer a 30-minute complimentary session for anybody who needs help, either entertaining the coaching space and seeing what that would be like to bring in accountability and vision to your business, or the leverage space. And I'll put my link on the chat. Is that going to show up on the...
If you put it in do you see where it has comments? Comments will show up on the live feed. I already put your URL there, evolve-virtually.com. But if you want to put an email address or anything else, put it on the comment side. And then we've got your information also linked to our marketing for this live event.
Love it.
So go ahead and you can also just say it, hey, here's how you can reach me.
So I'll just give you guys my email address, and that's bhurley@evolve-virtually.com. And I'm going to put my Calendly link in the chat so that you guys can just log into that. And
so B Hurley, so her name's Bernadette Hurley, one of my favorite people, B Hurley at evolve-virtually.com. And you can also just search her online and you'll find her. Bernadette, you are one of my favorite people because you move towards greatness. You're always moving forward. You and I have that in common, although it looks different for each person. High achieving people tend to, hang around each other. We're the sum of the people we spend the most time with. And although I don't get to see you in person, but we would see each other on Zoom every week for a very long time. And I'm so excited. You're the first guest that we've had on twice, and we've talked about something completely different each time. So I'm so glad to have you here. And if you have any hesitation, ask yourself what your hesitation is, because I've seen the power of leverage work in my business over these 18 years. As I've worked my way up the professional ladder and the success meter, and just have a conversation and find out how Bernadette and Evolve Virtually might be able to help you. You will not be disappointed if you take the time to talk to her and her team. So
and I love solving problems. I love bringing people to their greatness. And I do believe in what I've created with Evolve Virtually. I believe that it is ideal for anybody who wants to scale, and needs help.
I agree. And thank you so much for being here. I know you're on the road with your family this summer. Thank you for taking the time out to be here.
I appreciate you having me, and I'm
Virtual
honored to be the
hug.
first person to come twice.
Yay! I know, that's like, we're gonna give you like a little crown or something for that. And thanks for being here. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks at CRE Power Hour, everyone. Take
All
care.
right. Take care. Bye.